the crack, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's Kazzie here, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you I'll try that again and try not to get tongue twisted. What's the crack, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Kazzie here, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you all of the books that I bought in the month of November. It is crazy to think that we are now in December and 2017 is literally nearly over. It's crazy. And I know that everybody and their mother is saying that right now, but it is true. We're like 3 weeks away from 2017 being over. What? That's ridiculous. And what is ridiculous as well that I bought books in November. Why did I buy books in November when I could have just like said to people, here, get me this for Christmas? Or, you know, I could have put it on my list to Santa, but I didn't, because as we all know, I have no self-control whatso freaking ever. So I bought a few books in November, not an overly ridiculous amount like I have done in the past, but it's still not a small amount either. But some of them are prefaced with a reason, and let's just face it, there really is no reason except for the fact that, you know, I wanted them. But I was in the airport at the start of the month, and so you have to buy something at the airport going and then coming back. You just have to, right? And also, if you watched the books that I bought because I'm a fangirl, a couple of them will show up again in this video. So without further ado, let's just get into them. As I previously mentioned, I was in the airport earlier this month, and so I got 4 books. I got 2 in Belfast Airport, and I got another 2 in Barcelona Airport, you know, just because. So the first book that I got in Belfast Airport was The Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler. And then the other one is Tales of the Peculiar by Ransom Riggs. This one is a repurchase because this is the new paperback edition that has come out with an additional fairy tale that is set in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children world. I cannot speak today. Oh my goodness. If you know me and you've been around my channel for a while, you will know how much I absolutely adore Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. And so it was a no-brainer that once I finished reading those books, I was going to get the companion book Tales of the Peculiar, which is just right behind me right here. And so when Ransom Riggs came out with this one, of course, it was a no-brainer that I was going to get it too. I absolutely adore the cover. It just looks like Miss Peregrine sitting here reading to all the other children with a couple of imbrins flying around. It's just absolutely beautiful, and it still has all of the illustrations within it. They are just phenomenal. If one of them would like to kindly show up, yep, that's the start of the one for the Locust. And the new tale is called The Man Who Bottled the Sun, and I read this on the plane home from Barcelona. It is epic, let me tell you. And I'm so glad that it came out as well, so I had to pick it up in the airport. I was actually going to purchase it off of Amazon, but I saw it in the airport, so you're coming with me. And as I said, the other one that I got was The Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler. If you've watched my Books I Want to Reread video, I had The Long Goodbye in it by Raymond Chandler, which I read at university, and I loved it. I absolutely did love it. I love the whole film noir kind of aspect of it. So I never read The Big Sleep. It still follows Los Angeles PI Philip Marlowe, and he's working for the Sternwood family. Old man Sternwood, crippled and wheelchair bound, is being given the squeeze by a blackmailer, and he wants Marlowe to make the problem go away. But with Sternwood's 2 wild devil-may-care daughters prowling LA city back streets, Marlowe's got his work cut out. And that's before he stumbles over the first corpse. Ooh, enticing. And so I want to get into this. And then for the ones that I got in Barcelona Airport, I got Witchborn by Nicholas Bowling. This follows a character called Alice, who is in an asylum called Bethlehem, but it's called Bedlam. She's said to be mad after her mother was executed for crimes of witchcraft, but then she escapes. And so now she must navigate the dark streets of London, where there's a secret waiting to be unravelled. In an England divided by rival queens, it seems Alice has a part to play if only she can master the rising power within her. And on the back of this is the first time I've actually ever seen this on a book. This book in 3 words: darkness, magic, intrigue. I just had to pick it up, and it's actually set in the 1500s, which is very interesting. I haven't read any books that are set in the 1500s, but this just seems so good, and the cover is absolutely gorgeous. Just look at that. There's a raven and flowers and everything, and then the text is foiled. It's just gorgeous. And the other one that I picked up was Lincoln in the Bardo by George Saunders. I really have no idea what this was about when I heard that it had won the Booker Prize. And this is all about the American Civil War rages while President Lincoln's beloved 11-year-old son lies gravely ill. Days later, Willie dies and is laid to rest in a Georgetown cemetery. Newspapers report that the grief-stricken Lincoln returns to the crypt several times alone to hold his boy's body. Interlude for the siren. From this seed of historical truth, George Saunders spins an unforgettable story of familial love and loss that breaks free of realism, entering a supernatural domain, but hilarious and terrifying. Willie Lincoln finds himself trapped in a transitional realm called in Tibetan tradition the Bardo, where ghosts mingle, squabble, and commiserate, and a monumental struggle erupts over his soul. Ooh, that sounds so intriguing, doesn't it? Like, I have never read anything by George Saunders before. This just seems just like something so different, and like got magical realism in it, and just it's just very, very intriguing. So those are the ones that I got in the airport, and I got two in a charity shop in the Oxfam bookshop up in Belfast, and I got the Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. One of my colleagues recommended this to me because it has witches and vampires and werewolves and just pretty much all that jazz. And so she was telling me to read it, and this was actually included in one of my other videos. I think it was my book wish list. But I saw this in the Oxfam bookshop. It was only 50p. I had to get it because I had been humming in hand so much about picking it up in Eason's or Waterstones. I just got it, and this was a different cover than anything I've ever seen before. So I just figured that this was now the time to pick it up. And you hear footsteps, those are my dogs. And the other book that I picked up for £1, and that was Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. I have never read Treasure Island. I know it's a shame. I've never actually read anything by Robert Louis Stevenson either, so I figured because it was £1 and it's hardback, it's actually a very pretty version of it, don't you think? And I have an inkling about what actually happens in Treasure Island from all of the adaptations that I have seen, mostly Muppet Treasure Island. Don't judge it. It is still one of my favourite movies. I love it. So I figured now is the time to read Treasure Island. The next book I'm going to show you is one that I was also humming and hawing about for quite a while because I've heard rave reviews about it. I know Haley in Bookland absolutely adored this book when she listened to the audiobook. Some people didn't quite like it, but I actually bought this for research purposes for a video that I'm planning to do early in 2018, and so I figured I'd buy it now and then read it. And that is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerry Maniscalco. You might not know this about me, but I absolutely adore all of the conspiracy theories and the whole history of Jack the Ripper. When I was younger, like maybe like 12, 14, I loved watching all the documentaries about Jack the Ripper. I know an actor did one. He like went through all the conspiracy theories about it. Vic Reeves, I think it was. And I actually have a couple of books about all of the history and the autopsies and this, that and the other. And I actually did a couple of screenplays for creative writing classes at university because, you know, I'm obsessed. And then also Jack the Ripper is quite a pivotal character in Sanctuary, which of course you've heard me mention like a plethora of times on my channel already. This was a no-brainer that I was going to eventually pick this up because the tagline is I was the girl who loved the Ripper. Helen Magnus, anybody? Come on. Of course I was going to pick this up and see what I thought about it. It's all about this girl who is a lady of London in Whitechapel, but she is a closeted forensic detective, basically. And so she goes around gathering all the evidence, looking at evidence and talking to other people about it, and so it just sounds very intriguing and I can't wait to read this. And so I'm just hoping that this really gives me Sanctuary vibes, because literally everything that I read gives me Sanctuary vibes. I also got two books by my favourite actors, the first one being Uncommon Type by Tom Hanks. This is a collection of short stories, I believe, naturally written by Tom Hanks. He is one of my favourite actors of all time. I've been watching him since I was probably 10 years old. I love him and everything that he does, and I haven't heard anybody even talking about this book, so I just had to pick it up when I saw it in Tesco's. And known for his honesty and sensitivity as an actor, Mr. Hanks brings both these characteristics to his writing, alternating whimsical, moving, and occasionally melancholy. Uncommon Type is a book that will delight as well as surprise his millions of fans. It also establishes him as a welcome and a wonderful new voice in contemporary fiction. Wow, that was a struggle. A voice that perceptively delves beneath the surface of friendships, families, love, and normal everyday behaviour. Sounds interesting. Like, all the titles seem very interesting. I'll have to say that now. Ooh, there's quite a lot of short stories here. And there's photos. There's like little photos of typewriters all over the place. That's actually really cute. And there's an embossed typewriter on the hardback. That's really, really cute. There's the man himself. And the other book that I picked up, it was another copy of Born with Teeth by Kate Mulgrew. If you don't know, Kate Mulgrew is my favourite actress of all time. I absolutely love her as Captain Catherine Janeway in Star Trek Voyager and Galina Resnikov, aka Red in Orange is the New Black. If you don't already know, I already have 2 copies of this book. I have in hardback and paperback and also an audiobook as well, so technically I have 3. But the hardback dust jacket has like weird red splotches on it, so I decided, right, I'm going to get another one and it's going to be pristine. It's going to be perfect. Nobody's ever going to read it. Nobody's ever going to touch it or breathe near it. So I went to Amazon, got the hardback, it arrived, and it's in large print. And I mean large print when I say large print. You can probably read that. It is massive. I can read this without my glasses on. And so I was like quite enraged when it was large print because I just thought, you know, it would just be so easy, just order another one, hardback. It's actually really difficult to get a normal size print into the UK and Ireland. It is so difficult to find one that I will actually ship here for a decent price. So I have this now, and I said this to my colleagues just to like, here, do you want to laugh? This is what happened to me. So she came back with like the best answer ever. She's like, well, now you can read it when you're 60. I like the way that she thinks. So now I have a large print of Born with Teeth by Kate Mulgrew, so that I can read it later in life. Because, let's face it, I'm going to be reading this until the day I die. And the last 3 books I have to show you are all because I'm a fangirl, and Kate Mulgrew mentions this author's name in an interview at the end of the audiobook for Born with Teeth. And so I picked up 3 books by Colm Tóibín. Now, Colm Tóibín is an Irish author. I don't really have a lot of Irish authors on my bookshelves, not because I don't like Irish authors, it's just that I just like hear about all these other ones first, and so I don't really get to the Irish ones. I have 2 Irish authors on my bookshelf actually. I have my former English high school teacher's books and also Neil Jordan's Carnivalesque, which I have still to get to. I started it, but I just didn't gel with it just right then and there. I just wasn't in the mood for it right then, so maybe early 2018 I'll get to it. And so I picked up 3 of his books. The first one I'm going to show you is Brooklyn, which I think that they made a movie inspired by this book. It's all about Eilish in the 1950s, and she's one of these girls in Ireland. Opportunities are scarce, and so when her sister arranges for her to emigrate to New York, she goes and ends up in Brooklyn. So then she starts to establish herself in Brooklyn and gets friendships and relationships and a job and all that good stuff. Then she receives news from home that sends her back to Ireland, and so Eilish has to deal with a terrible dilemma of being confronted with a devastating choice between duty and one great love. It's definitely not something that I would lean towards now. I probably would have leaned towards this more when I was like a teenager. I used to love reading a lot of contemporary adult books, you know, like Danielle Steele and Barbara Taylor Bradford. I absolutely adore those writers. I kind of figured Kate Mulgrew loves them, so I might. The other one that I picked up by Colm Tóibín is Nora Webster. Nora Webster is widowed in her 40s with 4 children and not enough money. She's lost the love of her life, Morris, the man who rescued her from the stifling world to which she was born. But now she fears she might be sucked back into it. Wounded, selfish, strong-willed, clinging to secrecy in a tiny community where everyone knows your business, Nora is drowning in her own sorrow and blind to the suffering of her young sons who have lost their father. She has moments of stunning insight and empathy, and when she begins to sing again after decades, she finds solace, engagement, a haven in herself. So again, this isn't necessarily something that I would lean towards automatically, but it just sounds interesting. It just sounds like it'd be like a bit of a break from fantasy, and I do love reading about Ireland, so I really want to get onto this. And the last book that I have to show you in this haul is the 3rd one by Colm Tóibín, and that is House of Names, and this is also signed by the author. I didn't intend to pick this one up when I went into Waterstones, but it just sounded so interesting because it is set in Greek history. It's all about Agamemnon, and so on the day of his daughter's wedding, Agamemnon orders her sacrifice. His daughter is led to her death, and Agamemnon leads his army into battle where he is rewarded with glorious victory. 5 years later, he returns home, and his murderous actions have set the entire family, mother, brother, sister, on a path of intimate violence as they enter a world of hushed commands and soundless journeys through the palace's dungeons and bedchambers. This is basically when Clytemnestra learns that Agamemnon sacrificed Iphigenia, and so she has plotted his death all of these years, and so she and her lover kill him. And so after that, Electra is a silent observer of the family's game of innocence while his son, Orestes, is sent into bewildering, frightening exile where survival is far from certain. Out of their desolating loss, Electra and Orestes must find a way to right these wrongs of the past, even if it means committing themselves to a terrible, barbarous act. House of Names is a story of intense longing and shocking betrayal. It is a work of great beauty and daring from one of our finest living writers. This just sounds so amazing. I absolutely adore Greek history and the whole Agamemnon, Clytemnestra, and the Helen of Troy launching 1,000 ships. I think this starts with the Trojan War and goes from there, and then it comes back at the end of it, and then it's the whole uproar about that. I have no real idea what it is, but it just sounds so amazing. If you know me, I love Greek mythology, and so yes. Yes. And I knew I'd forget about this one, and that is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Yes, I already have Caraval, which you can see right here. But this is the new paperback edition that was released at the end of November, and I had pre-ordered it from Waterstones, and it is gorgeous. It has this new cover, big top down here. It has this gorgeous spine. And the papers are sprayed red. I think this one is exclusive to Waterstones, and then there is one that has yellow edges that is exclusive to Tesco's, I believe. That might end up in the haul for December. It might. It might. I'm not saying it, and I'm not committing to anything, but let's face it, it probably will be. So there you have it, guys, all of the books that I bought in the month of November. I think I did pretty well to, you know, not go completely overboard, but I did go overboard, but not completely overboard, so that's okay. We're gonna say it's okay, because it's okay, okay? So thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.